Greetings and welcome to Crone House. I realize it's been quite a while since I talked to you about my Book of Shadows project. Now, if you've been following my personal story, you know why, of course, that had to be put on the back burner. But after 2 episodes, which I have in a playlist, which I will link down below or somewhere, maybe at the end of the video, I am ready to give you part 3. I am back in earnest in trying to continue with my journey into my Book of Shadows. Before I go into what I'm doing, what I have just been doing, I wanted to summarize a little bit for you what I talked about in the first 2 videos in case you are new here and maybe interested. I have been looking to replace this Book of Shadows here, which is my old one that I've been using for well over 20 years for a lot of reasons, one being it is in very bad repair. As you can see, it is coming really apart at the seams here, literally coming apart. But my husband made this book for me. It has a beautiful leather cover. I love the size of it. So I wanted to just reuse it. Rather than make a new one, I wanted to use the cover and build a new inside. Why would I want to build a new inside? Because it's not very organized. It's really a mess. It's a mess. Because I just wrote things as I felt like it as I was going along. Didn't think it was a problem. Well, it hasn't really been a problem, but it's a little difficult for me to find things. I would like it a little better organized. Also, I have some things in here that I don't want in here anymore, for reasons that I stated in one of the other 2 videos. Now, I just want to summarize really quickly what it is that I did talk about in the first 2 videos so that you know where you might want to look. In the first video, which was filmed in October of 2024, I talked about how compared the way I organized this old book with what I want to do differently in the new book. I'm going to be organizing by signatures, and you're going to see that today, what I'm going to be talking about. I talked a little bit about what I'm looking for. I want to have some images in my book. I dyed some regular printer paper to use inside, so it wasn't going to be a really costly project, but I also like the effect. I like the effect, and I use some natural things to dye those papers, which I show you in part 1 of this series. I also talked to you about book sizes and different little things like that, what I'm going to keep consistent, what I'm going to not, how I want to make it uniform. Okay. In part 2, which was published in November of 2024, I talked about how I decided how many pages I would need and how I would get the pages to fit this cover that I chose. I used some different kinds of some methods to accomplish that, and how many exact pages I would have, how many signatures, etc. Now, I gather that many of you are not going to want to construct your own, but I urge you to stay tuned. If you are going to buy a book to use for your Book of Shadows, I'm going to give you a little pointers, which I think might be good advice if you want to organize your book similar to the way I organize mine, which you might want to. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. So I'm going to change my camera because some things I want to show you I'm going to need the overhead to show you that. And I hope you enjoy this series. I wanted to show you something I had a question about. So I wanted to show you why I choose this kind of a journal, when I talk about a journal that the pages are sewn in, signatures are sewn into a journal. Okay, and that's the way this one was made. And as you can see, the pages lie flat. The pages lie flat. Wherever I turn it, the pages lie flat. And that, we love to see that in something that we want to use and have our hands free to do other things. Okay, so that's what I was trying to accomplish. That's why I'm working on signatures, organizing by signatures. I'm going to take this little book here, something that I use. This is what I use to put notes in here for my YouTube videos, okay? So, but I want to show you, and this is a Luchtern, I think the brand is. You can see here. Can you see that? I buy these all the time. All my journals are made of this. My tarot journals, all the bullet journals I've done in the past have been this kind of journal. And you can get the pages either this is dotted, or you can get it lined, or you can get them blank. And these come in different sizes, which I'll talk about in a minute. The one I want to talk to you is about the signatures. If you look, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you, I'm going to try. There, you can see that we have little folded, I hope you can see, little folded sections of so many pages. This is a section, there's little different sections, but you can see on the end that there are separate sections that are affixed to the journal in whatever way. These are sewn in, and I want to show you how I know they're sewn in, because I want to take you to the very back, where you can really see it, where it's not a lot of pages. Where do I want to show you? Here, I hope you can see, if I get close enough. You see that? We can see the thread, that this signature is sewn in. All of them are sewn in. And the signature is just a unit of so many pages. It can be any amount you choose, folded together to make a unit. Okay, this is the center of a signature. It's hard to see that it's sewn, but I can tell you it's sewn. I can feel the string. Okay, and I mark the center. And then if I go to one side of this, where I have it marked, and I count the sheets, the pages, 1, 2, 3, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I go in this direction from the fold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 pages. 9 pages are folded together. They're folded together into one unit. Okay, sewn in the middle. And so that is a signature of 9 sheets, which makes 36 pages. Okay. Now, the signatures don't have to be the same in the book. And I told you in part 2 of this series, how I determined how many signatures I wanted in my book. And I even said that was an estimate, because I'm going to make that many signatures, but some of the signatures might have fewer or more pages. It doesn't matter, because you work on a signature at a time. Now, the reason I'm showing you this, first of all, is to explain the signatures, but also I want you to notice that this journal, just like my Book of Shadows, it lays flat. It lays flat. Okay, it lays flat. So you can take this book, and you could theoretically use this for Book of Shadows. It's already sewn in, and people will say, oh, well, what if I want to add pages here? What if I want to have pages there? Well, you can just mark off signatures and organize the same way as mine. Okay, maybe you want one signature to be for herbs, magical herbs. Maybe you want 2 signatures to be for magical herbs. That's up to you. But if you mark them off and you keep like some kind of way to tab them or whatever while you're working on it, if you want to put magical herbs in here and then maybe you want to put a spell in somewhere, you go to another signature and call that a signature that's going to have spells, that kind of thing. So you're not limited to making your own book. You don't have to sew all this stuff when it can be done for you. And the reason I brought up these look term books is that they come in different sizes. This one measures approximately 5.5. The pages are 5.5 by 8. This is an A5, size A5. If you wanted an A4, your pages are going to be much bigger. Your book's going to be much bigger. It's going to be 12.5, and this is only 12. So it's going to be that tall. And the pages are going to be 8 wide. 8 wide, clear to here. So you're going to have pages this wide. And books having, that's a big book. Okay. So you could get a big book. Now, it doesn't have to be this term. I'm sorry I'm pronouncing that wrong. But it doesn't have to be that. I would just say, if you want to do something by signature and something that lays flat like mine, I would look for a book that is empty, that the pages are sewn in. If you get a book where the pages are glued in, you're not going to be able to do this. You're not going to be able to do this and have it, lay flat. So this is a really good alternative. If you don't want to go to the trouble of making paper and dyeing paper and sewing paper, blah, 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 blah. Not everybody wants to do that. So this is a good alternative. So that's something to consider. Okay. Now when we're talking about my signatures, let's go there. I've been working on like 3. I just started working on 3 signatures right now, okay? This is the first one that I started on before life came and reared its ugly head at me, and I started, and this was to be a signature that was herbs. And these, when I talked about this before, these are some of the, I showed you these pages, how I was hinging the pages together, okay, that I had dyed. This was when I dyed 8.5 by 11 paper. It had to be hinged, okay? Some of the paper is 8.5 by 11, had to be hinged in some way, either with washi tape, or I sewed the pages together, okay? Or some of the pages were 9 by 12, and I could fold in half to make a 6 by 9 page, which is what I was after to fit into my book. So I showed you those methods. And my signature is 12 pages, 12 sheets, which is going to give me 48 pages. Now, I caution you, I did caution you, I believe, in the last video, in part 2, that it was important that you number your pages. So here I started, I don't have anything here, but I have page 1, and I just did every other one. So page 1, page 3, this would be 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, all the way up to page 47, and that would make this 48. Okay. I cautioned you, and I said, numbering them will help keep you from making mistakes. Well, I want to show you that's not necessarily enough sometimes. Some of us are going to make mistakes. And here's a good example. I had a signature I was going to make that was going to start out with, it was going to be, and this, I loved it so much. Came across this image, and I put that in for the first page of this signature. And I went and did all this work, and I did the next page, I put in all instrument information for the witch's cat. I put in the protection jar, and then I went, wait a minute, look at what I did. This is page 1, page 2, page 47. I had this apart to work on it. Even though in this book, when I was talking to you about it at first, if I'm working here on this page, not here, because that is opposite of this page. If I wanted to do 2 pages, it would be here. So I did all this work, and I loved it so much. I was so upset that I had made a mistake here, that I had to redo it. So here's what I had to redo. That's no good, that's trash. And here I have page 1, page 2, and look here, page 3. Not page 47, page 3. This signature is going to have a lot of things like some of my magical oils, some of my magical powders, things like that in there. Also other bits of magic that I want to know, like for instance, that's why I'm starting out with a cat. This is crystals that's going to help cats, very beneficial for cats for whatever reason. Here's a cat protection jar that I make all the time, and I keep it for my cats. And why I chose what I did for it, what I choose. This is about using cat whiskers magically, information I give you, cat claws magically, cat fur magically. Then I have here, I go on and I'm going to do black cat oil. And I'm going to have my recipe for black cat oil here. Of course, if I want to take signatures away, I would take signatures away from where? From the middle. Ooh, take it away. And then this would be the new middle. If I were to add more pages in here, where would I add more pages? They would go here in the middle. More pages, okay? Of course, not that one. Okay, and then of course I'd have to change my numbering system. So this is why I don't sew them together yet. This is a part of the planning that's really important. Now I'm ready to talk about, we're going to put this away and I'm going to talk about some tools. And before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about this cat, because I just have, so I can close this up. I'm not going to really get into transferring images right now and how I did this, but you're going to see in another video, a whole separate video is going to be on transferring images. But I started out with this, which is just a stamp that I used all the time for years and years and years in my bullet journals when I was talking about things having to do with my cats. So I took the stamp and I had my husband enlarge the stamp, just enlarge it on the printer, so that it would fit the page. And that way I was able to use it. And what I did with it here, because we're talking about my magical cats, that these are just the names of the cats that we have had in our cat life. And I just chose a colored pen that represented a little bit about the personality of that cat. So it's just for my benefit, but I just thought that was fun. I don't want to make this too long of a video, but I do want to show you some tools that I've found that I have to have. I just have to have them. I can't do this without them. And I think they're valuable tools for whatever kind of a journal that you might be using. Of course, if you are an artist, like some people that we know are just so artistic, they do things that I'm just not capable of doing. So I'm coming from a place of non-artistic ability. I'm a little creative, but I'm not artistic. So I don't want my journal to look printed. I want it to be handwritten. That's a big thing for me. Writing, taking time to write your spell or write your ingredients or something like that, and write about your herbs. It's a really good way to remember what it is about those herbs that you like. So I'm going to handwrite it. In my case, I'm printing most of the information is being printed because my handwriting kind of is bad. I will be writing when I get into my spells. I'm going to be using cursive writing because I do like it. I just couldn't do this whole book with cursive. It would be nuts. I am using color, the same kind of colors that I talked about when I used in my old journal, where I had different colors for certain things. Certain reasons I use colors. So I'm going to do the same thing here. But anyway, for my information, for any information, I want to be able to plan it out. So I, of course, have a ruler. I love these rulers, even though I can't ever find them because they're transparent and they get lost on the table all the time. But you can see through them. You can see through them. And they're marked off very well. I don't have any margins on here, but if I was afraid I was going to go over my margin, I might draw a pencil line. And that's a big thing. I do everything in pencil. Not everything in pencil, but I do a lot of things in pencil. Like here I was printing this, the title, The Witch's Cat. I did it in pencil first, and you can maybe see it because I haven't erased the pencil yet. I did it, and then I wanted it straighter. I wanted to make sure that the letters were the same size approximately. The spacing, I wanted it kind of centered on the page. So it took me a couple tries. Once I got it the way I wanted it, then I, of course, went over it with my pen, and I can come back and very easily erase. Pencil lines, all my pencil lines can be erased. Very easily done. I just do a light pencil. I find it's very easy to be erased. You can use a bigger eraser, but I like a pencil. I like a pencil eraser. Okay, so speaking of that ruler, one thing I want to say is something is like the greatest tool I ever bought. I thought it was kind of stupid at first, to be honest. But this, I don't know what you call it. I call it a page liner template. I mean, because that's what it does. It lines my pages for me. And as you can see, so everything is kind of straight. I don't care if my handwriting is exactly right, or I don't really care if I don't really like things to be absolutely perfect straight or whatever. But if this whole thing was wonky, you know how when you start to write and you get tired writing, how you start to write uphill or downhill or whatever. Those are the kind of things that would make me want to start over again. So in order for me not to have that problem, I have a page liner. And I will show you how to do that. It's so simple. I'll show you with an empty thing. So I just would lay this down. And I like to see it where I can really make sure that I'm looking correct. And I put a margin, either top or bottom, doesn't matter. Can you see that? On my paper. And I usually do the one furthest away from me. So I get that straight on the paper, this line. And here where I have these, my line space, I make sure they're lined up going down the page. So they're right to the edge. Okay, and I just make sure that everything looks square, looks like it is. And then I just really lightly go down in these rows. And it doesn't require any thinking other than remembering where you left off. But I just move my hand down a little bit so I don't have to, so I don't skip anybody. Okay. And it doesn't matter if you're going to write to the bottom page or not, because, here I skipped one up here. And I have nice even spaces. I have nice even spaces. So I would do that on all the pages that I'm working on. I like to do it if I'm going to do it on one sheet. I will do it on all the sheets. I will do it on all the sheets. Even it's going to be a while before I get to the last sheet, I'm still going to do it because it's easier to do them when the pages are free than when the pages are being worked on. Because remember I said, if you are going to glue anything in here or whatever, you might have a bumpy surface and maybe your lining tool will not be as effective, if that makes sense, if you come to a bump. So now I can be nice and flat, and I can line it. And if I'm going to put a paper over it, I don't care. If I don't want it there, I will just erase what I don't want, because it's just pencil line. It is so easy to come off. And there we go. And then after I write on the page, I would come back and I would just erase. Okay, I would just erase my pencil lines before I go on. See how easy that is? It's so easy. Okay? Because also, why is it easy? Because of the pens that I'm using. In my journal, all my journals, excuse me, bullet journals, tarot journals, and now my book of shadows, I use these Micron Pigma pens. It's archival ink, so it's not going to fade. They come in different sizes. This, my favorite, is 03. There's an 01 that's if you write smaller, or maybe you want bolder titles, you can go up in numbers. They come in some colors. I do have them in a few colors. Like I have blue and red, and I think there's a brown, green, and then I have black. I use most things in black. And then how do I get my colors if I wanted to color in something, or I wanted to write a bold title, or my bold titles, which these are all the same. As you can see, these are all the same, and I'll talk to you about that first. But all these are the same, aren't they? Okay, I use these. Which you might have seen these before. This is Tombow brush pens. They come in all different colors. I'll pull out the black, that's what I use the most. It's a water-based brush pen. This is black. There's a brush pen like this for, getting this kind of a, getting this kind of a line. There's also this, if you just want a bold line. And this is what I really used for these titles. This one. Because you can really control it. It's a hard point. It's a hard point. Now, how did my titles get all the same? That's one thing I wanted. I wanted some of my titles to be uniform. Even here, when I did my oils, they're going to be uniform, same thing. These are the same things. There's sandalwood, chamomile. You see, they're all the same, right? Caraway seed. What did I do? Well, I'm a cheater. Because I do like things to kind of be consistent. Okay. I have so much stuff on this table, I'm just moving stuff around. Look what I did. I went to my computer and I found a font on the computer that I liked. It wasn't real fancy. It was simple enough that I could replicate. There's a couple ways I can transfer it, and I will show you in my transfer video how I do that. It's one of the things I show you. But in order for me to keep my titles uniform, I print them out. And then look at this. I went here. This is something else I want to show you, which is so cool. I got my ruler. And I went here. Oh, candle changing oil. Look at it. It's over 6. I don't know if you can see. But it's 6¼ inches from start to finish. That will not fit on my page. So what did I do? I went back into Word. And I went back to my settings. And I didn't change anything at all except the spacing between the letters. And here, instead of it being 6¼ now it is just 6. Now it is just 6 inches. And I can even reduce that down a little bit if I want to. Another thing I use, which I wanted to show you, is glues. If I'm going to glue something down, if I'm not going to transfer it in another way, if I really want to take a picture, like I did here, where I put up my photograph of my cat protection jar, okay? This lays nice and flat. So I tore it, I distressed it a little bit using these Tombow pens, I picked up, I think a brown, something that would blend in with the paper a little bit. And then I glued it. But what did I choose? A lot of people like glue sticks. I like glue sticks, but glue sticks are for a quick fix and they do not hold. You can glue them and after a while they will come undone. And you will have seen that I have used these when I did this, these pages that I had to, like here, particularly like with the washi, or when I was going to hold it, I wanted to hold it, when I put the washi, I put a little bit of glue there first and then stuck the washi, and the washi will not come off. So that was really good. That's a good use of this. Other ones, when I put them together, when I was sewing and I wanted to hold the paper down, adhere the paper for me to sew, I glued it, and then this would not, with this, just to keep it from sliding around, and it would not gum up my sewing machine. So it's really good for something like that. But for permanent fixes, I have found a glue that I will not use anything else. There's a lot of glues, but this is what it is, and it is, of all things, it's a fabric glue. Yep, there it is. Beacon Fabri-Tac. Permanent fabric adhesive. And on here it says bonds fabrics, lace, glass, leather, wood, trims, etc. It dries clear. Well, isn't that lovely? But it doesn't say anything about paper. And I was worried, but then I saw one of my favorite scrapbook person recommend this. And I tried it, and it's wonderful, because I tell you when it's wonderful. You want to get the edge down nice and smooth. You're going to take your paper. Let me see if I have a paper I can. Well, I guess it can go on anything. It can go on anything. Okay, so it will go. You put something down. Here, let me see. I'm going to just glue this to here. Let's pretend I want to glue that edge down, okay? So, I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this, and I want to put this glue on here. And I want to go close to the edge. I put a generous amount of the glue. Okay. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that's going to come out. It's going to come out and run out over the edge. Well, probably will. I'm going to fold that over. And I'm going to glue that down. Oh, there it did. Look, you see? It glued out. Now watch. When it's wet, I just take and rub it. Can you see what's happening? You see those little crummy things? See that? It's just like, it acts like rubber cement. It acts like rubber cement. You just brush it off. Brush it off. With your finger. All those things. I could even take it on here and show you. See it? I just rub it away. And you see all those little crumbs? See them? It's like rubber cement. It's gone. It's gone, and it will not stain, and it really does adhere. It really does adhere. Okay, hope that wasn't important that I just glued down. Oh, I did here. These two glues. These are the two glues that I'm going to be using. Because like I said, if I want to glue something else, like particularly in my spell sections or whatever, if I want to glue other things in here, I think this is going to be really beneficial for that too. We'll see. We'll see how that works. I think it will. Okay, I will try to keep you updated in a little more timely fashion if I can. If our life calms down a little bit, that may happen. Look forward, I'm going to be sharing some of my transfer methods. I think I might do that next, I'm not sure. I'm going to share everything with you. I'm going to, even whether you want me to or not. But I'm going to talk about when I get a signature ready, how am I going to hold the signatures together? How am I going to get them adhered to my book? What I'm going to do, what kind of things I'm going to do. You're going to see all of that eventually here. Maybe not in great detail, but as much as I can. You know, the funny part about it is I have to do it before I know what I'm doing, if that makes sense. I have to just go forward and to see. But the thing that I want to just reiterate with you, emphasize with you, is the signature method really works, whether they are loose, if you pay attention and don't do stupid things like I did. If you pay attention and mark it correctly, now I've taken to actually write on the page in my second one. I didn't just go by the number. I penciled on here cat protection jar on the right page. So I had to see that to know that was where I was going to put the cat protection jar. So I did not screw that up. But whether you do it this way or you are in a book already that is sewn in that you want to divide your signatures, these methods are going to work for you. I think they're going to work for you. And so I hope this is helpful. Yeah, I hope it's helpful. It's helping me because you know why? It's making me do it. It's making me do it. I've been putting up with this falling apart Book of Shadows for so many years. Now it's just like, I got to fix this book. I have to fix the book. So I'm happy that you're there to help me do it. Thank you so much for watching. I am Rebecca, and I wish you blessings.